Hello, today I'm going to share with you how I broke out of an uninspired life where I felt like I was just going through the motions and how I found the courage to quit my job and move to the south of France. If you haven't yet, subscribe and click the notification bell so that each time that I upload a video about my expat adventures, moving abroad, or finding the courage to live life on your terms, you will be notified. My name is Patricia Brooks, and I help people figure out what it is they want to experience in life through my books, Live a Bold Life and Growing Bold. And I help them to create a plan and make that a reality. Now, as for me, I was in my late 40s. I was going into this job as a project manager that I could do blindfolded. It wasn't challenging. I didn't feel like it had a ton of meaning to me. And it caused me to feel really negative about my life. In addition, I'd been recently divorced and I'd lost my dad and mom a few years earlier. And so I was at this crossroads in my life. I was miserable and I knew I needed something different, something new. So I decided I was going to solo travel. The first place I went was Quebec City, Canada, and I wanted to speak French like the Québécois do, and so I dusted off my high school and college French. After 6 weeks of an audio program, I landed and started speaking with the locals. Well, not really. They started speaking with me after I said bonjour, but I was encouraged that they thought that I could speak French fluently. I was also encouraged about the idea of my potentially living in a French-speaking country. So after that trip, I went back to my job, and about an hour and a half during my first day back, it was like I had not been on vacation at all. You know the feeling? And I told myself, I got to do something different. And that dream, that seed of a dream that was planted in Canada of living in a French-speaking country started to grow over the ensuing months. And I thought, oh, Patricia, one day you can live in a French-speaking country. And that helped to lift my spirits. Problem was, while I was telling myself, oh, one day, Patricia, you can live in France, I was also feeling deep down that it wasn't possible because I was almost 50. And only young people do that. You know, they take a gap year after college and then they stay. They love it and stay. And I was not young or not that young. And so while I truly wanted to experience a new life in France where I could, truly be me and learn the language, write another book and, just feel good, I doubted that that was even possible for me. And that really made me feel sad because in the wake of my parents' deaths, I recognized how short life is. And I still know that I don't want to have any regrets when I get to the end of my life about what I wish I had done, but was too afraid to do. And so there were these feelings of sorrow, mixed in with the frustration that I felt. So over the course of the next 2 years, I continued going to this job that really wasn't suited for me any longer. And I coped the best that I could. And then the political climate changed. And I started to feel a greater sense of urgency for me to leave the country, to live and experience this life where I felt freer to be me, where I felt like home to me. So wasn't really sure what to do. I still was stuck. But one day I was perusing the internet and I saw an article about a woman who had moved to Italy. And she made a master plan and she moved to Italy for 3 years. And she had the help of a life coach. And so I decided I was going to speak with this life coach. And we had a complimentary session. And I decided I was going to hire her because I knew that what I was doing wasn't working. the only thing that I'd been doing to plan my move to France was to learn the language. I wasn't doing anything about visas or, housing or any of that. And so I hired her. And that changed a lot, because in that first week, she asked me, well, Patricia, what is it going to cost you to live in France just for a year? And I said, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. And she said, well, okay, that's your assignment for next week. Find out what it will take for you to live in France for a year. And something so simple about this request was really kind of hard because this is one thing I had avoided doing in the 2 years since I got this dream. And that was because I liked having this dream that one day I'm going to live in France, because it made me feel lighter when I thought about it. It made me happier. I'm living this life I'm not happy with, but at least I can daydream about this thing. But if I found out that I didn't have the enough savings to make this move, then that would crush my dream. And I wouldn't have that to look forward to. And that scared me. But I told her I would do it. So I am a woman of my word. And so that's what I did. And I found out that I had enough in my savings to live in France for a couple of years until I could figure out what my next career move was. And that changed everything. That turned that red light to green. And I did what it took to make my move to France the following year. So January 2018, I give my notice to my job. They gave me this grand party that I wasn't expecting. And 3 weeks after that, I boarded a plane to France to start my new life there. And as I was standing in line at Dulles International Airport, I was filled with so many different emotions. I was petrified. I was excited. I was curious as to what my future held. I knew that this was the right thing for me to do. And so all of these emotions were swirling around in me as I boarded the plane. 7 hours later, when the plane landed at Charles de Gaulle, I felt like, I'm at home. And it felt good. It felt right. And for those first 2 weeks of my new life in France, it was amazing. I was on cloud 9. I was elated. I couldn't believe that I had done this amazing thing, and that everything in France looked so fresh and new, sounded so fresh and new. It was just a wonderful experience until that third week hit. And one night in the middle of the night, I woke up petrified because I realized the gravity of what I'd done. I'd left a really good paying job and I didn't have a source of income. I had moved to a foreign country where I knew no one. And I was afraid and alone. And so these emotions and these thoughts were with me for the next 6 months, along with the thoughts of, oh, wow, it's amazing that I did this thing. It's incredible. I love it here. I want to stay here. So I had this type of war going on, and it was not fun. But what I did was I journaled. I'm a writer, and I got these thoughts out of my head. I also prayed a lot that I would have the strength to make it through. I meditated. I centered myself because one of the reasons I decided to move to France was my intuition told me to do it. And so I felt like if I could get back to sensing what the next right move would be, that could help me along. And I used coaching tools. A year and a half before I made my move, I had gone through coach training. So I used these tools that I had at my disposition to help talk myself off the ledge, talk myself out of just going back to the US because it was easier, it was safer. And about the 7th month, I started to feel like I was on firm ground. Journaling and meditating, praying, and using these tools allowed me to stay the course. And out of that first year, I was able to write my second book, which was a goal of mine. I was able to improve my French. And now I can call myself fluent in French. And I learned a lot about myself and my ability. I gained so much confidence. I am now the architect of my life instead of using someone else's plans. And this is so empowering because the next time I have a big, bold dream, I have this experience and continue to have this experience to look back on and say, oh, you didn't think you could do this thing over here, but look at all you've accomplished. And that can fuel me on. You know, being here in France and starting to really get acclimated to life here is just such an incredible experience. Anybody who has a dream in their heart to live in a foreign country should consider doing it. Now, if this is you, if you have this dream of living in a foreign country, but perhaps you have some hesitancy or self-doubt or outright fear, well, then let's have a conversation. Let's get on a complimentary discovery call where you can find out what it is you truly want to experience and how our working together might help you get there sooner. That is all I have for you today. Please be sure to subscribe and like this video, and I will see you again real soon. Bye for now.